All right, let's dive into something I think a lot of us are curious about. How to, really maximize pleasure during intimate moments. We've got this guide all about techniques for enhancing female pleasure during oral sex.
Okay.
And we're going to break it down, see what we can learn.
Right.
What's interesting to me is that this guide goes beyond simple mechanics, It's really about connection, communication, making the whole experience fulfilling for both people.
Yeah, you're right. It's not just a list of techniques or anything like that. It's really like a whole approach to, building anticipation and really understanding your partner.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive, I think.
I'm ready to unpack this blueprint.
Okay.
It all starts with getting comfy.
Right.
The guide really emphasizes finding those positions, using pillows, making sure things are good for both partners, comfortable, enjoyable.
That's so important. I think so often the focus is only on one person's comfort.
Yeah.
But, when both partners are relaxed and supported, it makes it a much better experience for both of them.
Totally. It's about finding those positions where you can really focus on her pleasure.
Right.
Whether that's kneeling, sitting, or something else entirely.
Yeah.
The guide even suggests using pillows to kind of lift her pelvis, which I hadn't really thought about before.
Yeah, and think about what that does, not just physically, but, mentally.
Yeah.
It's about making her feel really supported, both literally and figuratively, so she can just relax and be more open to everything.
Here's where things get really fascinating to me.
Okay.
This whole idea of a slow burn. The guide is all about taking things slow, building anticipation, starting with the less sensitive areas like the inner thighs.
Right.
Teasing with light touches and kisses.
Okay.
And then slowly, gradually working towards the vulva.
Yeah.
It's all about delaying that gratification, tapping into that deep-seated human desire.
Like savoring every bite of a meal instead of just gobbling it down right.
Exactly. It's not about rushing to the finish line. It's about enjoying the whole journey, setting the stage for an amazing performance. So, speaking of intensity,
okay,
let's dive into this start-stop method. The guide calls this the secret weapon.
All right.
And it's all about bringing her close to that peak and then pausing strategically. So tell me, how does that work?
Well, it's not just about stopping and starting randomly.
Right.
It's about bringing her close, then pulling back, teasing with a whisper, maybe a kiss on her stomach, and then returning to stimulating the clitoris. It's really about playing with that anticipation and building the tension.
So you're building this wave that keeps getting bigger with each pause.
Exactly. And from a physiological standpoint, every time you pause, those nerve endings kind of reset.
Wow.
So when you resume, it's even more intense.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
I can see how that would be an incredibly powerful experience.
And here's where paying attention is key. Reading her body language, listening to her moans, noticing how she's breathing, if she's arching her back or pulling you closer.
So it's not just about following the steps, but being present and responsive.
Exactly. Words are great, but sometimes those nonverbal cues can tell you even more. It's about being really in tune with her, understanding what feels good and adjusting based on that.
So it makes the whole experience so much more personal and intimate, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It becomes less about performing an act and more about sharing an experience.
Yeah, and I imagine that makes her feel seen and heard.
Exactly, and that deepens the connection even further.
This has been so insightful already. I can't wait to hear what else this guide has in store for us. Are you ready to dive into some more of these techniques? Explore how to keep things fresh and exciting.
Oh, absolutely. There's so much more to unpack here, and you might be surprised by some of the things they suggest. It's all about taking those basic principles we talked about and adding layers of creativity, making it your own.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. When it comes to keeping things fresh, that's where using your hands comes in.
Okay.
The guide really suggests that.
All right.
It's about adding another dimension to everything.
So I'm curious, how exactly does it recommend using your hands?
Well, it's more nuanced than you might think. It's not just about any,
Right.
It suggests things like using the warmth of your hands on her thighs or hips. Almost like a grounding touch.
Okay.
That just enhances that feeling of intimacy.
Right.
And then there's this idea of mirroring the rhythm of your tongue with your hand, circling the outer vulva. So you're creating the symphony of sensations.
So it's not just about stimulation, but it's like another layer of communication?
Exactly. It's like saying, I'm here with you, present in this moment.
Right.
And of course, it mentions gently inserting a finger.
Mm.
But again, it's all about gauging her comfort level and preferences.
It always comes back to that communication.
It does.
It's not a script. It's about responding.
Exactly.
You know-
Yeah. It's a dance, not a dictatorship.
Yeah.
And speaking of keeping things fresh,
Okay.
it has some really interesting ideas for variety and excitement.
Well, I'm all ears. What kind of things?
Well, one thing is sensory play, like using feathers or ice
Okay.
to create contrasting sensations on the skin.
Interesting.
So imagine a feather lightly tracing the inner thigh,
Yeah.
followed by a gentle touch of ice.
Oh, wow.
Sends shivers down the spine, right?
That sounds incredibly sensual.
It is.
It's amazing how something so simple can be so powerful.
Right.
So what else does it suggest?
Well, it also mentions flavored lubricants,
Oh, okay.
which can add another dimension of taste and sensation.
Hmm.
It's about appealing to multiple senses,
Yep.
creating a more immersive experience.
I like it. It sounds like this guide is really encouraging exploration and playfulness.
Yeah.
Not just, sticking to a routine,
Exactly.
which I love.
And it even goes beyond techniques.
Okay.
It goes into the emotional side of things.
Yeah.
It talks about that post-coital connection,
Yeah.
holding her close after climax, offering reassurance, just basking in the afterglow together.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah,
Because so often the focus is just on the act itself.
right.
And we forget about those moments afterward.
They're so important, though.
Yeah.
It's about showing her that you care,
Right.
more than just physically, but emotionally as well.
It's like saying, hey, this isn't just about sex. I care about you.
Exactly.
And I want to make sure you feel good in every way.
It's that vulnerability that can really strengthen a relationship.
Totally.
And the guide even suggests taking it a step further and actually asking her how she felt,
Oh, wow.
what she enjoyed,
Yeah.
really opening that space for communication.
That's such a good idea.
Yeah, it takes the guesswork out of it.
Right.
Shows that you're really invested in her pleasure.
It's a dialogue
Yeah.
where both people feel comfortable sharing.
It becomes a journey you take together.
Yes.
Not just a one-sided act.
This deep dive has been so insightful.
Good.
I'm already thinking about all the ways I can apply this in my own life.
That's great.
It's amazing what we can learn from a single well-written guide.
And we're not done yet.
Oh,
There's one last piece that we
Okay.
haven't touched on.
all right. I'm intrigued.
And it's about taking all of this
Yeah.
and applying it outside the bedroom.
How do we do that?
Well, it says that those same qualities,
Well,
attentiveness, care, communication,
right.
they can make any relationship better.
So it's about taking all this and making it part of who you are.
Exactly. Intimacy isn't just for the bedroom.
Right.
It's a way of life, a
Wow.
way of relating to your partner.
This is resonating with me so much.
Good.
It's like a roadmap, not just to better sex, but to a better relationship.
It is.
As we're talking about bringing this stuff into everyday life,
Yeah.
there's something that really stuck with me from the guide.
Okay.
It talked about teasing,
Hmm.
but not just in a sexual way, right? But as this thread throughout the whole experience.
Yeah, it's interesting how it suggests using things like your breath
Yeah.
or light touches, even just whispering things
Oh.
to keep that anticipation building.
So it's like you're constantly reminding her of the pleasure.
Exactly.
It's like that feeling when you're watching a movie and the director's building suspense.
right.
You're on the edge of your seat waiting for it to happen.
You're prolonging that buildup,
Yeah.
priming her for an even more intense release.
And the guy doesn't stop there, right?
No, it doesn't.
There's this whole section on aftercare.
It really emphasizes those moments after holding her close,
Yeah.
offering reassurance,
Right.
letting her just enjoy the afterglow.
I think that gets overlooked sometimes.
It does.
We're so focused on the climax
Oh,
that we
that-
forget about just being there afterward.
It's about showing her that you're not just there for the physical part,
Exactly.
but you care about how she feels afterwards, too.
One thing that stood out to me was the emphasis on learning and growing,
Yeah.
reflecting on each experience, figuring out what worked, what could be better.
It even suggests talking to your partner about it,
Yeah.
getting feedback,
Wow.
really making it a shared journey.
I love that idea.
Me too.
This whole deep dive has been eye-opening.
I'm glad.
It's shown us that maximizing pleasure isn't just about techniques.
Right.
It's about understanding your partner.
It's about communication,
Yes.
vulnerability.
Really connecting on a deeper level.
That's what makes it so special.
And while this guide is specifically about oral sex,
Right.
I think these ideas apply to any intimate experience.
Absolutely. It's about respect, trust, and genuine care.
Well said.
Those are things everyone can benefit from.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I hope you're leaving with a new sense of curiosity and a deeper appreciation for intimacy.
Me too.
Remember, it's not just about what happens in the bedroom.
Right.
It's about how you treat each other every day. That's what builds a truly fulfilling connection.
I agree.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It was my pleasure.